Welcome to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in this post-COVID-19 world. Since the last time we were blessed to spend some time with you, roughly 24 hours or so ago. It is a long-awaited and certainly welcomed day in the great state of Louisiana. Governor John Bel Edwards yesterday announcing the easing of some COVID-19 restrictions. Just a tad lower, please, Marty, if you would. Thank you, sir. Got people out there. The governor yesterday, and this is reading from the website of WBRZ.com, the ABC affiliate, Channel 2 in Baton Rouge. On Wednesday, the state will remove the pandemic-forced limitations on when bars and restaurants can serve alcohol, defaulting to local laws. As you well know, many places, 2 a.m., shutdown time. Whatever the local ordinance is, that is the one that will now be applied. Prior to this, bars have been forced to close at 11 p.m. statewide. A ban on individuals under 21 entering a bar will remain in effect. Bars are also restricted to the state-mandated social distancing guidelines. Salons and beauty shops, gyms and fitness centers, malls and casinos also no longer have capacity limits. However, you still have to socially distance and, of course, wear your masks. Businesses and venues that host larger gatherings like reception halls and the like will remain capped at 50% gathering with the maximum size of no more than 500 people indoors and, of course, again, strict social distancing. Outdoor events will be capped also at 50% capacity along with social distancing. Some events may well require prior approval by the state fire marshal. By the way, if you are wondering whether or not your gathering would need that approval, simply go to opensafely.la.gov and you'll get more info there. Also, the governor announcing indoor and outdoor sporting events are going to be limited to 50% capacity along with social distancing. This order, the latest from Governor John Bel Edwards, will be in effect until April 28th, barring something out of the ordinary happening. I, like so many others, was so glad to hear this news. And I don't want to seem like I'm nitpicking here, because at this juncture, some things you got to take what you can get, okay? If you're going to relax the rules, great, let's go for it. However, the governor pointing out that salons and beauty shops, gyms and fitness centers, malls and casinos no longer have a capacity limit, but you've got to observe strict social distancing. My point is this, and again, I hope I don't sound like I'm nitpicking, but it is what it is. If you have to observe the 6-foot rule, then you can only put a certain amount of people in the casino. You follow me? You're telling me on one hand, no more capacity limits for malls, casinos, gyms, fitness centers, beauty salons. But if we have to still say 6 feet apart, there's only so many people you're allowed to put in that venue before you can no longer observe social distancing. You follow me? Again, I don't want to seem like I'm nitpicking in this regard, but you know, we're all grown here. Just give us the straight scoop. Tell us just like it is. We've not arrived at a point yet where we can open up to full capacity. So, you know, until things get better, we're going to keep it at 50%. But as long as you social distance, everybody can use the place. I understand that people are going stir crazy. People want to get out and resume normalcy in their lives. I'm just like that myself. But give me the straight skinny, and I will adjust my behavior accordingly. You owe that to the voters who arguably have suffered more during this pandemic than any other group of people. And let's face it, we're Americans. Things happen in this country. Some things we don't like, some things we don't agree with, some things that run counter to some of our basic principles. But what do? We adapt and we find a way to make it work. It's a pretty simple proposition. And sadly for me, it's one of those things that we used to take pride in this country. Of course, now you could very easily make the argument that once you arrive at a point in time where the government becomes interested in becoming your mommy, your daddy, your caretaker, and everything else in between, inevitably you are left with individuals that you either have to lead around or lie to get them to do what you want them to do. I understand that's one of the little idiosyncrasies of the human experience. I get it. Been there, done that. But at the end of the day, I still have enough faith in my fellow Americans to believe that when you give us the straight skinny, we'll deal with it. May not like it, may not care a whole lot about it, but if it is what it is, we will deal with it and we'll get over it. April 28th, for my way of thinking, cannot get here soon enough. But until then, I, like so many others, will gladly take whatever easing of restrictions come down the pike. It is going to be, when all is said and done, a year that we will never forget. We will, our children's children, our grandchildren will remember, hopefully, what we went through in this country and will govern themselves accordingly. You know, it's a scary proposition when you hear some of the guest spurts, not experts, guest spurts, when they tell us, you know, there's a possibility COVID could come back when it turns cold, and you know, there's also the possibility, just like we didn't know about this virus, there's others out there that you never know. We might find ourselves in the midst of another pandemic. Well, anything is possible. Nature has its quirks and its ways of doing things that are beyond our control. It is just my sincere hope that if, God forbid, we find ourselves in this situation again, we will have learned from this, understanding that this is uncharted territory. We've never had to deal with this before. So some things I am willing to give the benefit of the doubt to because we simply didn't know any better. But if this should ever happen again, my sincere hope is that common sense will prevail. Had we the knowledge of how to deal with this before all of this started, we would have quarantined those most at risk only. Because again, we're talking about a greater than 99% survivability rate for individuals that don't have comorbidities, individuals that are not seniors or up in age, young people, most healthy adults. Most of them will get it and never know they had it. So hopefully, if, God forbid, this should ever happen again, we will not allow nor encourage a complete shutdown of the greatest economy on the planet, not to mention the erasure of civil liberties and freedoms in this country. It is encouraging to see the pushback that's coming all across the board for the concept of vaccine passports. Can y'all say papers, please? It's an affront to one of the very basic tenets of American society. And it's refreshing and encouraging to see individuals say, you know what, you've drawn a line in the sand. And this is as far as we're willing to let you go with all of this. Because at the end of the day, we're still adults. And more important, we're American adults. We want just the information and let me make up my own mind about what's best for me. Novel concept, don't you think? First break of today's show. We will come right back here as soon as these commercials are over, and we'll talk more with you right where you've got it on today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
The first big sale of the year is here. The Dream Garage Spring Event is underway at Team Honda. For the first time ever, get $12.50 customer cash on every new 21 Passport, or get 0% for 60 months on every new 21 Pilot at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. It is hopefully finally come to an end. For my money, as an individual with personal experience / a whole lot of sweat equity in it, it was painful to watch. Nathan Hamer, former band director for the Southern University Human Jukebox, sentenced yesterday to 13 months in federal prison, and when he is released, paying restitution of $78,000. The judge ruling yesterday saying, quote, oh, and there's 3 years probation after his release as well. The judge said, quote, you took advantage of Southern University and saw it as an opportunity to enrich yourself. You knew there were loopholes and you exploited that. By the way, this judge, Judge Brian Jackson, is a Southern University alum graduating from the SU Law Center. So I guess in hindsight, as painful as it was for me to watch, it was probably even more so for the judge as an alum. Last year, you probably remember, Nathan Hamer pled guilty to embezzlement charges in federal court after WBRZ's Chris Nakamoto did his investigative report, and it all just kind of snowballed from there. Hamer admitted to submitting at least 15 fraudulent invoices and keeping the money for his own personal use. He was also accused of taking kickbacks for the band performing on various occasions. According to prosecutors, this scheme went on from 2016 until 2018, and Hamer was eventually charged with federal program theft for embezzling a total of $30,000. Prior to working at Southern, he was accused of taking $40,000 during his tenure with the high school band. He repaid $34,081 to date, but still must pay another $78,000 upon being released. It is something that cast a negative dispersion on an organization, an institution, and some real hardworking individuals that had nothing to do with the infraction. Fortunately, in this particular instance, now that it's been rectified and hopefully closure can begin, it lends credence to the old adage that no single person is bigger than the institution. It is something that all of us wish had never happened because it is arguably the most visible symbol of that great institution. But, you know, as my late father used to say, a man getting knocked down is not the measure of that man. The true measure of that man is what he does when he gets back up. The human jukebox will persevere. They will continue to be as exciting an ensemble as you will ever have the opportunity to witness, and they will continue to be a cut above many others in that very same genre, marching bands and the like. It is, again, something that we wished had not happened, but it is what it is. It is to be dealt with and move on. Speaking of Southern University as well, COVID-19 has wreaked havoc upon the spring football season. As you know, games were rescheduled for the spring, and we've seen them have to be rescheduled because of positive COVID tests on any number of teams. Well, obviously, the Southwestern Athletic Conference is not immune to that, as it was announced yesterday that Southern University and Prairie View's football game has now been postponed because of positive COVID tests in the Prairie View program. You probably remember that just last week, Grambling State University announcing their next 2 games will be postponed because of positive tests for COVID in that athletic program. As it stands right now, officials say that the Bayou Classic is still on. And one of the things that comes about as a result of something like a pandemic, you have to look realistically at certain things. While I cherish the idea of the Bayou Classic finally happening, with all the publicity and all the good things that come out of that, I also have to be a realist. When the next 2 weeks' games have been canceled by Grambling State, this week, Southern Prairie View canceled because of positive COVID tests, and an entire university, Alcorn State, opting out. The odds are stacking up that it's probably in favor of the Classic being canceled more than not. Now, for God's sake, y'all, don't pull out your cell phone and start calling, Clarence Buggs said they didn't cancel the Bayou Classic. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you got to be realistic about this. And if you look at it for what it is, conventional wisdom says, 50-50 shot at best. Look, make no mistake about it. I want to see the Classic. The universities want to see the Classic. The team members want to see the Classic. The city of Shreveport wants to see the Classic. Southern and Grambling alums around the world want to see the Classic. But at the end of the day, realism is pretty much the only thing that counts. And when you are dealing with the likes of a worldwide pandemic, and you add to that the fact that, next 2 games for Grambling postponed, this week Southern postponed, conventional wisdom says the odds are not in your favor that you're going to pull this thing off. Now, that's not to say it won't happen. I mean, it's COVID-19. Crazier things have happened. You know, we think, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Oh, but wait, see, what had really happened was, that's what we're dealing with here. So keep your fingers, your toes, your eyes, and anything else that you can crossed, and hopefully we'll be able to pull this thing off. It is something that for HBCU football fans and fans in Louisiana look forward to every single year. And nothing as desperately as we need these little blocks of time where we can escape what's going on with the pandemic and feel somewhat normal. Football is one of the things that fills that void, at least in Louisiana, better than anything else. Just the opportunity to see the camera pan the crowd and hear, before they go to commercial break or come back, the human jukebox or the sonic boom of the South or the ocean of soul or whomever. Nothing fills that void like football. And I guess I say all of that to say this. Be realistic and don't be upset, don't be mad when you go to your favorite news source and you find out, well, we really wanted to have the Bayou Classic. But, you follow me? I told my daughter in her formative years 2 things to always remember, among many others, but these 2 are applicable in this particular situation. 1, if you don't put yourself in certain situations, you'll never have to worry about regretting them. 2, be realistic about your expectations. That way, if things don't go the way you had hoped they would, you're not crushed. So be realistic about what we're dealing with here. I mean, this is not your first rodeo. You've seen all sorts of things canceled, all sorts of things that, well, they told us that we were going to be able to move to the next phase, and didn't happen. You know what time it is. Simply be realistic. Now, Marty's shaking his head because for some of y'all, that's almost an exercise in futility, trying to be realistic. But it is what it is, and we will soldier on. When we come back after this bottom of the hour break, I want to talk about something that struck me with the force of a brick yesterday. And bless their little old hearts, they think that what they're doing will convince us that, see, we're on it, we're on top of this. When in fact, it is one of the biggest insults in recent memory to an entire group of people that I can remember. We'll talk about that after we take our bottom of the hour break here on the Clarence Bugg Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Jaguar Nation, we need your help in masking up Louisiana.
Masks help us slow the spread of COVID-19.
During this time, we must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and practice social distancing.
It's important that we continue to abide by the CDC's guidelines to stop the spread.
Jaguar Nation, we challenge you to mask up. Go Jags!
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. If you are a political watcher, keeping tabs on the political scenery across our landscape, it becomes pretty obvious who has an agenda and who doesn't. Now, you can make the argument that, Clarence, everybody got an agenda. They're politicians. That's what they do. And you would be justified in that opinion. But as a man of color, watching some things in this country, it leaves me disheartened. The White House yesterday announcing plans to address the spike in violence against Asian Americans, including reestablishing the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, known by the acronym AAPI, increasing funding for AAPI survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, establishing a task force to address coronavirus-fueled xenophobia against Asian Americans, and establishing a cross-agency Justice Department initiative to investigate anti-Asian violence. Quote from the White House: "Across our nation, an outpouring of grief and outrage continues at the horrific violence and xenophobia perpetrated against Asian American communities, especially Asian American women and girls. As President Biden said during his first primetime address, anti-Asian violence and xenophobia is wrong. It's un-American, and it must stop." End of quote. This announcement comes 2 weeks after this deranged individual killed 8 people in Atlanta, including 6 Asian women. Let me say for the record, what happened in that incident was horrific. And violence against any ethnic group violates the spirit of America. But here's the problem I have. 2 weeks, and they announce this initiative to combat anti-Asian violence. That didn't take long, did it? 2 weeks. So, in the short time you've been in office, a person of color could look at what you've done so far and very easily come to the conclusion that, let's see, you've bent over backwards to help brown-skinned people who are here illegally. Now you have rushed to the table to solve the problem of anti-Asian violence. But black folks are still waiting for something meaningful to impact the violence in our communities. When was the last time you remember there being a task force, an initiative, a campaign to marshal federal resources to combat the crime problem in the black community? When was the last time you remember that? You can't, because they didn't. I'll tell you what I do remember. Remember leading up to the last presidential election when rapper slash actor slash producer Ice Cube came up with the contract with Black America, went to the Democrats, and what did they tell him? Get back with us after the election. The brother was incensed. So what did he do? He said, well, I think I'll go talk to Donald Trump. I mean, after all, what do I have to lose? Remember what Donald Trump said? Dude, this is awesome stuff. We can get started on this right now. Y'all lost your minds. Called Ice Cube and anybody associated with him all sorts of ugly, derogatory names. And here, just a couple months later, you're still waiting. Unlike some folks who are getting let into this country illegally, and other folks, Asian Americans, whose homicide problem cannot begin to compare with that of African Americans. Now, in actuality, they will never tell you this, but it is what it is. At this point, some of them feel like we don't really have to do anything for the black community because, after all, they're going to vote for us anyway. Let's just be real about this. One group of people voting for one party religiously, incessantly, every single time the polls open. We really don't have to do anything for them because, after all, they're going to vote for us anyway. Speaking of things they'll never tell you, as quiet as it's kept, some people are of the opinion that part of the reason behind Democrats not stopping this illegal immigration problem, y'all gonna think this is cruel, but it's the God-honest truth. Many of them probably feel we need to replenish the ranks because black folks are on the way out. They are on the road to extinction, and we need to replenish Democrat ranks. I have told you this before, and I'm going to continue to tell you until it sinks in. The leading cause of death for the folks that replenish the African American population, males ages 15 to 39, what I call the baby makers, the leading cause of death is homicide. 40% of the guys that will replenish the ranks of African Americans will die at the hands of homicide. Now, if law enforcement is able to do its job to the best of its ability, if all those folks are arrested and put in jail, in prison for long terms, you're talking about another 30% of those who replenish the ranks. So now you're at 70% of males who will replenish the ranks, either dead from homicide or serving long-term prison sentences for those crimes. So of the 30% that's left after you remove that 70%, now we have to subtract those incarcerated for other unrelated offenses. We also have to subtract those who live, quote, an alternative lifestyle, because they're not reproducing, okay? Subtract from that number as well those who are hopelessly addicted to drugs. Subtract from that those with no education and no interest in getting an education. And what are you left with? Out of that 30%, you've got to subtract those numbers. Now, let's add some insult to injury, shall we? For those who are left, maybe, 15%, the liberals, Democrats, have made it possible and endorse the prospect, the concept of us killing our babies before they ever make it out of the womb. I say again, they need to replenish the ranks because black folks are on the way out. Now, at some point, you have to ask yourself, if Democrats care about us the way they say they do, why don't they do something? Do anything. Why don't they do something? Well, sometimes it's just easier to pander to us, divide us, because then all you have to do is play the race card or the victim card, and you come away looking real good without having done a darn thing to fix the problem. Of course, now you can also make the argument that liberals have fostered a climate in this country where they're scared to tell black folks that y'all need to get your stuff together and stop killing each other like 40 going north. When your kids are in trouble, if you care about them, if you love them, you tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And you do it because you love them. If you're a good parent, you don't care if your kids get mad. You don't care if they call you a name. You tell them what they need to hear. And like it or not, you have the solace of knowing you did it because you've got their best interest at heart. Finally, when history records this period of time in our country, if they're honest, it will go down as the biggest example of political chicanery against one group of individuals, maybe in history. History, if it's accurate, will have to ask, how is it that one group of people gave their vote religiously, continuously, over and over and over again to one political party, and all they have to show for it is being the best of the worst and the worst of the best? Of course, now, if history is accurate, it will also point out that all this happened, and you know what? They voted for them anyway. Some of y'all ain't gonna get that till later, but that's okay as long as you get it. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and we wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show, here and only here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
The selection is deep, and the time to get a used car is right now from the Team Automotive Group. Shop and save on over 125 certified vehicles and choose from more than 700 pre-owned vehicles at any of our team locations. Or log on anytime at teamautouse.com.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. As if parents in America today didn't have enough on their plates dealing with COVID-19, virtual learning, social distancing, businesses being shut down, and the like. It is part of the human experience that even with all these things going on, there are still things on the periphery that parents should be aware of. You guys and girls remember what was a viral thing not long ago online called the Blackout Challenge. It's where individuals choke themselves to the point of passing out in an effort to experience some sort of euphoria that the brain goes through because of a lack of oxygen. Well, recently, a 12-year-old boy in, I want to say it was Denver, Colorado. Let me be absolutely sure. Yes, in Denver, Colorado, decided to try the Blackout Challenge. Because of the shortage of oxygen to his brain, he was found struggling to breathe on the bathroom floor of his home, and now is in critical condition. I would imagine if you were to speak to his parents, they would probably tell you, I never in my wildest dreams thought my child would do something like this. But the influences in our society these days, particularly among the peers of young people, you can't take anything for granted. And I know for a lot of y'all it's inconvenient, for a lot of y'all it's uncomfortable, but the best thing you can do is spend time talking to your children. Typically, young people that engage in this sort of behavior are lacking in some other aspect of their lives. And sometimes it's something as simple as just a conversation that can make all the difference in the world. Other update real quick. The NFL announcing yesterday, for those of y'all that still watch the NFL, they are expanding the regular season to 17 games. The season will run 18 weeks. That's in order so that everyone can be assured of a bye week so that you don't play 17 straight. Additionally, you could probably make the argument that the NFL is attempting to rectify the unforced error, if I could use a sports phrase, of the whole social justice thing that has alienated so many of us that at one time were the biggest NFL fans on the planet. We talked yesterday that a full third of individuals, since all of this let me shove my political agenda down your throat stuff started, a full third of us that used to watch religiously, cut them off. Cut them off. We have voted with our remotes. So conventional wisdom says you could maybe make the argument that in an effort to overcome that, maybe we need to throw a little extra out there and hopefully we can start getting some of those loyal fans back in the fold. If you were to ask me, not that the NFL cares about my opinion one way or the other, I would tell them, you want to get us back? Then stand your butt up when they sing my national song. You want to get me back? Stop shoving in my face your political agenda. Because when I reach for that remote and put you on my television, I am watching for 3 hours to get away from the cares of the world. I am watching because I don't want to be inundated by your political agenda. If you want to get me back, then there's something you've got to do. And as long as you continue, as long as you incessantly try to shove that down my throat, I'm going to get my exercise for the day. Marty gonna get his exercise for the day. He's gonna reach on that end table, coffee table, whatever, grab that remote and click up, find something else to watch. Increasing the number of games, that's one thing. But if you really want folks to come back, go back to being what we loved about you. A place where we can go and be entertained by some of the finest athletes in the world and forget about all this other stuff. Like I say, I don't really expect the NFL to listen to my opinion, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, when salaries start being reduced, when merchandising sales are tanking, well, my friends, you will have nobody to blame but your little old lonesome. I have been, and y'all please accept this in the spirit that is given. I have been dreading this segment of the Clarence Bug Show. Two reasons. One, I am starving like Marvin. Two, there are folks in Bayou Smokehouse right now enjoying old school barbecue that I can't take a bite of until I wrap up the show. And three, as hungry as you get, the worst thing in the world to have to do when you're hungry is look at food and talk about food. You follow me? You follow me here? Listen, y'all need to get by 10655 Coursey Boulevard and get some old school barbecue. I think the guys out in the truck, as I tell you some of the stuff that's on the menu, if by the way, in talking about this and looking at the pictures that they're going to show you, if I just get up and walk out, I couldn't take it anymore. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. We're talking the pulled pork plate, smoked chicken plate, and of course, white meat, dark meat, half smoked chicken, grilled boneless chicken breast, house-made smoked sausage. Oh, the 14-hour smoked brisket plate. I'm killing myself. St. Louis ribs, and for those of us that are barbecue purists, you know, y'all can have your, all the baby backs, that's nice and everything, but give me my good old St. Louis ribs. And of course, you can't have really good barbecue without having killer sides as well. Just like Momo, Meemaw used to make back in the day, everything is made from scratch. You know, a lot of places, if you could actually go in the kitchen, you might have second thoughts. Meaning, there's a whole lot of places you go where side dishes consist of open up another one of them big old institutional size cans of stuff and heat it up and we're good to go. Not here, y'all. Every single side dish is made from scratch. Fresh ingredients, homemade with a whole lot of love, and they are just waiting to share some of it with you. I need to stop talking about this because I may not make it for the remaining 2 minutes and 1 second in today's show. But on a serious note, guys, girls, they're really good people. And in today's world, a lot of times you find yourself in a little bit of a quandary where you say, you know what? I love the food at this place, but good God, why don't they do something about the service? You find yourself sometimes saying, man, they've got good food there, but they act like they, don't care that much about the customers. Listen, you won't have that problem at Bayou Smokehouse. As a matter of fact, if you do, let old Clarence know. He'll take care of it. But I'm not worried about having to do that because I've gotten to meet and to get to know the folks here as they have been laboring to get ready to serve you. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Real easy to find. Come on by, get some old school barbecue, at Bayou Smokehouse, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. That being said, I'm going to throw Marty a little bit of a curveball. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it before he has to do this. 30 seconds. Beat you to the punch, buddy. This day, just like any other, I give it to you, hands down. America, we ain't perfect, but for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there is no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize by now that he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, doesn't really matter because there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.